Reza Aslan, someone who has been held out as the pinnacle of intellectual discussion regarding Islamic apologetics, just said, I no longer need to argue my point because everyone who disagrees with me is a bigot. Reza Aslan, who's one of the biggest Islamic apologists you see out there on cable news, has somehow gotten a pass as though he's an intellectually honest or critical thinker who presents very compelling arguments for Islam. We've had so many people saying, why don't you have him on? It's very hard. We'll have our booker come on with the list of people who've refused to do the program. Reza Aslan is a social justice warrior personified. This is what I would like to presuppose. Reza Aslan is not an intellectual. He's a social justice warrior, just like a Lacey Green, just like a Bernie Sanders, just like a Vox. And I think by the end of this segment, I can prove it to you. Let's roll the first clip.
You are, according to the FBI, more likely to die as the result of faulty furniture than by an Islamic terrorist. So you should really be scared of your lazy boy.
Okay, so right away you should be starting to see the similarities. This is an argument? No, this argument is intellectually lazy. Boy. See what I did there?
I see.
It's obviously, it's such an intellectually lazy argument. Okay, a couple of things. First off, I don't know what kind of numbers you're using, because Barack Obama's farewell address, he just said that there were no known terrorist attacks on American soil under his watch, that things were better, that global terrorism was down. I don't know, Fort Hood, Chattanooga, Boston bombers. So maybe those aren't being included where he's talking about the unlikelihood of a terrorist attack. Globally, they occur all the time, every day. People are killed in the name of Islam at very, very high record numbers consistently. So I don't know the numbers that he's using there, but let's remove that from the table, okay? I'm going to give him as much leeway as possible. A lazy boy, a piece of furniture, is an inanimate object. It doesn't have an evil ideology. It doesn't have a violent ideology. That's like saying, well, statistically, it's very unlikely that you will be sexually molested. There are not many. You're more likely to drown in the pool, Johnny, than be raped by a pedophile. So just don't walk by the pedophile's house. Anyone who's watching this, if you want to think this is someone who is intellectually genuine, do you really think he's dumb enough to not see what a horrible comparison that is? That's not a valid analogy. Chairs, furniture, they do not have an ideology that can kill people. Islam does in record numbers, so don't try and compare them. Next clip.
I grew up in a predominantly Mexican community, so I just told everybody I was Mexican.
Oh, practicing Islamic taqiyya as a toddler. Very nice. For those of you who don't know, look up Islam taqiyya. Next clip.
The hardest part for me when I'm being interviewed is to tamp down my astonishment.
The question at the bottom of the screen that everyone is looking at. Does Islam promote violence?
The thing that's mostly going through my mind is calm down, calm down.
The justice system in Muslim countries, you don't think, is somehow more primitive or subjugates women more than in other countries?
Did you hear what you just said? You said in Muslim countries.
Yes. Yes, she did. This is another tactic of the social justice warrior. Just act like it's so absurd. Oh, it's so it's like people could vote for Donald Trump and they're not racist. Did you see what you just said? Let me feign offense with my perfectly strand-plucked eyebrows. It's a perfectly valid question. As a matter of fact, I think it's a necessary question. Muslim countries. Now, you should be happy about this, Reza Aslan. She's not saying all Muslims, hashtag not all Muslims. She's saying, as a general rule, in Islamic countries, do we acknowledge that maybe there's a systemic problem in their treatment of women, let alone gays, let alone people who aren't Muslim? We'll get to that in a moment. She is saying, as a general rule in the Islamic world, does it stand to reason, Your Honor, to say that they have not stepped up with the rest of the modernized world in Western society? Well, what about the fact that I think we have these sources? 85% globally and Muslim believe that women should always obey husbands. Try and tell that to MTV Feminist News and see what they think about it. If you were to say Christians did it. 53% believe women can be punished for not wearing veils. More than half the Muslims in the world believe women should not have the right to divorce or equal rights to inheritance. Here's the point. These are not extremists. These are statistics, verifiable statistics across the Islamic world. Does that mean that there aren't variances between, say, Indonesia, where actually they might be pretty nice to women, but there's record church burnings as it occurs with Christians right now, but we don't talk about that? No, it doesn't mean that. Of course, Pakistan's going to be worse, and Saudi Arabia may be worse with gay people, and the UAE may be worse with rape. We understand that there are variances across the Islamic world, but for her to ask the question as a general rule, hashtag not all Muslims, are equal rights a problem in the Islamic world? And Reza Aslan wants you to believe that that is an unreasonable question that can be attributed, well, to something that social justice warriors constantly accuse their opponents of. And we'll get to that. Let's go to the next clip.
Please don't generalize about 1.7 billion people in the world.
Okay, let's not. Let's not generalize about 1.7. How about 1.2 billion? How about 1.2 billion people in the world? I've got some statistics here. We did a video on this. Ben Shapiro did a great video on this. We have 52% of American Muslims who support some form of Sharia law. A quarter of American Muslims, the most moderate in the world, support jihad. Then if you look in other countries, like Pakistan, you have 75% of people who support strict Sharia law. Over 2/3 support honor killings. You can go across the spectrum. You can go to Saudi Arabia, you can go to Pakistan, you can go to Indonesia, you can go to Malaysia, you can go to UAE, you can go to Iran, you can go to Egypt. You'll find these numbers pretty consistent. At least 20-something% of Muslims, if they aren't, of course, aren't engaged in terrorism, but actively support terrorist organizations or believe that it's justified. So 1.2 billion Muslims who believe in some form of Sharia law or death for apostasy, right? We know that. Now, I know you'll say, well, Sharia law, it's not the same in every country. Okay, that's true. Let's allow for some variances. Sharia law generally has some pillars that are pretty important, meaning dibitude, subjugation of people who are non-Muslim, meaning women are treated differently from men under the law, meaning non-Muslims are treated differently under the law, meaning gay people tend to be stoned to death, meaning women need certain people for rape, meaning there is death for apostasy. Those are generally considered. I know there's different Sharia law, but if you look across the board as a general rule, hashtag not all Muslims, those tend to be included in Sharia law. Let's take that back. Let's take it to less than half. Let's say 500 million Muslims in the world believe in Sharia law, or 500 million Muslims believe in honor killings or death for apostasy. We know guaranteed it's much higher than that. I'm saying let's scale back 1.2 billion, let's scale it back to 900 million, let's scale it back to 500 million Muslims on planet Earth who believe in implementing laws that violate basic fundamental human rights. That's not a problem? Am I making a generalization with 500 million people? The Westboro Baptist Church, who are talked about every time they send out a press release, have about 16 members, and 2 of them have flippers. Next clip.
You're a Muslim, so why did you write a book about the founder of Christianity?
Well, to be clear, I am a scholar of religions with 4 degrees, including 1 in the New Testament and fluency in Biblical Greek.
To be fair, that was an incredibly stupid question. That question was everything that is wrong with cable news. I worked at Fox News for 4 years. I've appeared at every cable network known to man. And I agree that that was an incredibly stupid question. It was a leading question. It was irrelevant. That's one for you, Reza Aslan.
After about 10 years of being cable news' favorite Muslim,
I've come to the realization that I don't think it's doing any good. Bigotry is not a result of ignorance, it's a result of fear. And fear is impervious to data. Fear is impervious to information.
Okay. Do you see it there? I know when I said Reza Aslan is a social justice warrior, a lot of people who are still in their conversion process from the Young Turks, no, I don't want to believe, no. They don't want to believe it. He's an intellectual. Did you see what he just did there?
Scholar.
He did the exact same thing every social justice leftist does. He said, I used to do it, but now I absolve myself of the requirement to make intellectual arguments because all of my opponents, anyone who disagrees with me, are bigoted. Bigotry is impervious to information. Do you see what he just did? It was the same thing that the Obama supporters did with the Tea Partiers, the same thing that Hillary supporters and Bernie people did with Donald Trump supporters, the same thing the social justice warriors do online, which is if you disagree with me, you're racist. Reza Aslan, someone who has been held out as the pinnacle of intellectual discussion regarding Islamic apologetics, just said, I no longer need to argue my point because everyone who disagrees with me is a bigot. I could rest my case here, but let's go further.
In this country, we went from overwhelming majorities who were against same-sex marriage to overwhelming majorities supporting same-sex marriage within the span of a couple of years.
Right. Okay. So when has that span of a couple years occurred anywhere in the Islamic world yet? Reza Aslan, Mr. Leftist. I know you're incredibly anti-Israel and support Palestine. How did your meeting with the Hamas committee go? Did they notice your lisp? Perchance. I notice you're still intact, so I guess not. Let's go through statistics. Turkey's violent homophobia. Of course, hate crimes against gay people, that if it occurred anywhere in the modern world, it would be all over YouTube and Facebook, and they wouldn't even remove it as fake news. Saudi Arabia, they push for gays to be executed. Bangladesh, let's look there. That's a country I think Reza Aslan has used as one of his examples for moderate Islam. What are there, 13 Islamic countries that officially...
13.
So... I get it, hate crimes at parades and stuff, you know, that you can't, that's anecdotal. Again, let's give Reza Aslan as much leeway as possible. All those hate crimes that occur against gay people in record rates that don't occur in the modern world, let's remove those. Still 13 Islamic countries that kill you for being a sprite. So he praises that here in the United States. Why don't you go out of your way to talk about where it's still a problem? He seems very obsessed with the gay issue too, constantly defending it. So
a lot of articles out there.
But you know what? Maybe he's just a compassionate person. Next clip.
What changed people's minds was Will and Grace, was Modern Family, was watching people who were gay on television being, you know, normal. They're struggling with the same issues that you're struggling with. They are human beings. And so for the last few years, I've decided that what I'm going to do is try to change people's minds through pop culture, through film and television.
There it is. And it's a great point. It's a great point from Reza Aslan. It also serves to debunk the idea that conservatives or anyone who's not a social justice warrior is some crazy conspiracy theorist when they believe that the entertainment industry and media are colluding against their values. Here you go. Straight from the Islamic horse's possibly gay mouth. Reza Aslan here says, I am going to use, for Will and Grace, Modern Family. He says Hollywood serves to brainwash people. Hollywood serves to act as prop. Because here's the deal, right? Is he using Hollywood to bring people together? Does he want to use pop culture to bring people together? No, he doesn't, because he just dismissed half of the entire country as bigoted and racist. Remember that? So, what does he want to do? He wants to use pop culture, media, news to dismiss and brainwash everybody into believing that all these people are racist and they're bigoted and they're homophobic and they're transphobic. So let's put more trannies in Superwoman. Let's put more gay people in, I don't know, any single show. Whatever it is, at every single turn they have to put something in there to inject a social justice. We need more superheroes who are black. We need more female superheroes who have hijabs. We need to do that because now pop culture. So they're framing you all as bigoted. This is Reza Aslan, the great intellectual Islamic thinker. People who disagree with me are bigoted. But really? Maybe people who disagree with you, does it mean they're bigoted if they disagree with passages in the Quran that say kill infidels wherever you find them? Surah 434. I could rattle off some verses for you. Does it mean they're bigoted if let's say they don't even have an opinion, but they're a bit concerned that according to Hadith, Muhammad called for the deaths of Christians and Jews as his last words? Does it mean you're bigoted if Muhammad beat his 6-year-old wife? Does it mean you're bigoted if Muhammad came out and said, you know what, I think I was wrestling with a demon, and his wife said, no, that was an angel, and that's how the religion started? Is it bigoted if Christians maybe go, listen, I think this is a perversion of the Christian faith, or even Jewish people who say, I think this is a perversion of the Old Testament because they think that everything after Abraham's blessing was a lie? Is it bigoted for people to have any kind of apprehensions with Islam? Reza Aslan says, yes, that can be the only reason, and he is going to serve the rest of his life brainwashing the public to ensure that they agree with him. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Hey, if you like this video, subscribe by clicking the button that says subscribe. If you're not aware of it now, there's no way you're learning the internet at this point. I'm not going to help you. But this was clipped from my daily show, available exclusively to louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub members. If you're student, military, or veteran, enter in that promo code. It's less than $6 a month, and you get daily content. No more clips, plus this hand-etched mug. Oh, when I feel it, I got a chill like on the inside.